Community Church. We're glad that you're here. I want to read today from Deuteronomy 4, starting in verse 39. It says, "Today recognize and keep in mind that the Lord is God in heaven, above and on earth below. There is no other. Keep his statutes and commands, which I'm giving to you today, so that you and your children after you may prosper." See, it says keep in mind and recognize. I think if we combine those two words, it's going to be the word remember. And that's what I want to talk about today, is remembering who God our Father is. You see, there's a lot of things we like to remember, especially coming fresh off of this holiday season. There's a lot of memories attached to it. And I think the thing in my life that I have the most memories attached to is a little red Ford Ranger that's sitting right back here behind the garage. And if you can't tell, I'm coming to you from my personal studio, or otherwise known as my garage, because I have a lot of women in my house and this is the quietest place. But that little Ford Ranger, my dad bought it in 2001. I was about 8 years old, and he drove it for a while. And when he got to be about 150,000 miles on it, I was about 15 years old. Well, he kind of turned the keys over to me when I got my learner's permit, and I started driving that truck. And from then on out, that's been my truck. I'm 31 now. So I've had that truck pretty much half my life. And a lot of great memories. When my dad had it and he drove it, I remember we took lots of trips together down to the Church of God campground in South Georgia. We took it on trips all over the place. I had a lot of memories attached to that truck with my dad, and I'll never forget those. And then as I got a little bit older, I remember in high school, I drove it to every golf match I ever had. I took, when I was a young man, I took my wife on our first date in that truck. Me and that truck have been through a lot together, and there's a whole lot of memories attached to it. And I remember every one of them because of how much they meant to me, and how through so many stages of my life, that truck was with me and still is. I've driven one of my daughters in that truck, and throughout so many phases and stages of life, I've had that attached to me, and something that has created a lot of memories. Maybe there's something in your life that's been with you through a whole lot of things. Maybe it's a dog, maybe it's a truck, maybe it's a house, maybe it's whatever it is. But it's something that brings you a lot of memories. And how much more then should we recognize and remember our God in heaven, who's been with us through times when we may not even realized he was there. Times that we were far from him and maybe weren't even associated with a church or reading our Bible or praying or doing anything. We went through life with God right beside us and didn't even know it. And if you made it here today, it's because God has a plan for your life, and he wanted you to hear this message. And we need to remember constantly, going through no matter what we're doing, through whatever stage of life, that God our Father in heaven has a plan for us. He wants us to prosper. He has a set of guidelines in the Bible that we read. He has so many things that he can teach us, and so many ways he can make our life prosperous, and so many ways he can make our life better and worth living. And we need to every day take time to pray and focus on remembering that he is our Father and our Creator. Take time to focus and understand that even though we may have a short memory as human beings, that we forget the good things he's done for us, that he's with us through good and the bad. I want our prayer and focus today to be that we would help God, that God would help us, because we don't need to help God with anything, that God would help us remember to appreciate and rely on him.